We're joined by Obama campaign veteran Che Komanduri, who's been with us throughout this election. Welcome back, Che. I just went through the how, the why, and what's next. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll be really honest about this. There are rational reasons, concrete reasons for why this defeat occurred. You talked about them: inflation, immigration, discontent among non-college voters, particularly young voters who did not go to college. But as many times as I hear them, and I and you and everybody will be hearing them for the rest of our lives, it just doesn't, on some level, ever make sense to me. And that goes to why I was wrong about this election. John Heilemann, is it not John Heilemann? It's John Meacham wrote that book, The Soul of America. And I remember in 2017, he said he wouldn't have written that book if Trump had won the popular vote. Well, here we are. And last night I was thinking, oh my gosh, is that Madison Square Garden rally, is that the soul of America now? And the reality is that there is a dark part of the American soul. And Donald Trump appeals to it. And I think we make the mistake of thinking that the soul of America, as Joe Biden talks about, as John Meacham talks about, is this unitary one thing that is light and believes in equality and freedom and all these great virtues. But it also includes another part of our history, which I think African Americans and Native Americans are all too well acquainted with. A dark part, and Donald Trump speaks to that dark part. But there is a fight for that soul. It's not a situation where we just appeal to it and the votes come our way. We have to fight for it. And I think that that's really the task ahead of us, to be honest.
I appreciate your candor. It's rare in politics for somebody to even phrase it the way you just did. When you go inside under the hood and into the numbers, though, it's not that total vote, popular vote majority saying they like him. As I pointed out, to win 9% of the people who view you unfavorably is actually quite unusual in politics. And there will be many debates for many months about whether that's still some secret sort of fascination with him, this uber famous reality show figure, or whether we're not so different from the other country flags I put up that have had an anti-incumbent backlash. And I heard from Democrats involved prior to Tuesday saying to even be close with these headwinds is big. That wasn't their closing message because it was true. But, your message is not just what's true. It's trying to motivate people. And the hardship numbers, I'll put them back up. 75% of the country felt severe or moderate hardship from these high prices of inflation in the last year, Che.
Yeah, I know. And, we basically elected an authoritarian. I think somebody said that we elected an authoritarian and inflation's 2%, and that just shows you a failure of communication, a failure to connect with voters. If there's a big takeaway, it is that we cannot be the college educated party. I mean, that is what we are. And, Harris did increase among college-educated women. And it's great that we have college graduates and that educational attainment's a great thing, and it's great that we encourage it. But the reality is that we are not connecting with non-college voters. And now,
let me jump in, because do you think, because you're speaking to this and you spoke to racism and civil rights, do you think a party that used to talk about welcoming people into a long-term civil rights process has become a party that, fairly or not, is heard as scolding and judging a ton of people?
Yeah, I think that there is a tone. I think James Carville has talked about it. That is very off-putting to people who did not go to college. I talked about the soul having parts. Plato actually said that the soul has three parts. It has a rational part, it has an emotional part, and it has kind of an appetitive, destructive part. And we know what Donald Trump appeals to,
Deep.
And we appeal to the rational part, but we have to appeal more to the emotional part.